This is the EGC 20K Age of Empires 4 tournament. We are here to witness the final 16 generals in battle, and a counterattack is about to begin. Pangyo ni hao. My name is Anuki, and something exciting has happened, and I can't contain myself any longer. Tatoh is playing China. They did it. Tatoh just gained mad respect and recognition. They're settling in the Far East on hill and dale, but I think we all know that they've settled in our heart. And over here is Kasva or something. I don't know. Abyssid Dynasty. Yeah, all right. Go on then. Welcome to Ironcast, the #1 show for your non-biased casts. We here treat everyone equally, regardless of their desired civilization choices. If you wish to lodge a complaint, this can be processed over at the Ironcast Discord. Please use the link provided in the video description. No, this is going to be a super interesting match for sure. Kasva will also likely have respect for Tatoh here. I mean, what are you doing? It's a surprising pick. Once again, I think it's important we thank these players for the dedication they put into their performances for us to enjoy and watch. I don't feel like enough people truly acknowledge that without their effort, we don't get to watch these high-level games. So let's do a Civ breakdown. Oh, in fact, no, before we do, it's likely Kasva picked Abyssid Dynasty, expecting Tatoh would have picked France. Since Tatoh lost as France in the last match, it would mean they are able to play France again. They've decided not, though. They've gone for China. Now, as a China main, I can tell you a lot. So let's cover the Abyssid Dynasty matchup into China and come at it from Kasva's perspective first of all. There's much to discuss in this one-of-a-kind, unique, most likely never going to happen again in this tournament matchup. So to begin, Kasva will be able to gather berries 25% faster, and more of them too. In the feudal age, you automatically get access to constructing battering rams, which is another important feature when playing into France, but will it come into play here? China is regarded as playing pretty defensively to begin with. And another thing that would have been great into France is the camels. Camels is an interesting place for the Barbican of the Sun. We'll get to this soon. Camels make enemy cavalry weaker, but against China, well, they do get the Fire Lancer, which is possibly the strongest cavalry unit in the game, but the requirement to be able to train these units is exceptionally high, like really high. You have to have the Yuan dynasty, which costs 2,400 food, 1,200 gold. You have to build both landmarks from the feudal age. We'll cover it up if it comes up. Already, Tatoh is playing that defensive China, walling up very quickly. The Barbican of the Sun put on a nice cliff edge. So what is Kasva's game plan gonna be? Well, let's wait before speculating. What's Tatoh's game plan gonna be? In a general sense, China was probably picked specifically for this map, Hill and Dale, because it's easy to defend. China can build twice as fast, with the exception of keeps, so walling off, as we see, will be pretty fast. Getting under the town center can be fast. There's opportunity for Tatoh to go full potato and gather up a ton of food, wood, gold from the natural resources on the hill, then try to push out with a powerful army in the castle age. So with that in mind, does Kasva try to attack early? A wall wouldn't do much against a battering ram, and they'd get free access to those battering rams in Age 2. But here's the thing, it's still 2 weeks in since release, and I don't think I've seen anyone look at a palisade wall and think, ah, I'll use my battering ram on this palisade wall. I don't think anyone has that mindset yet. So I would be surprised to see if if that happens. I think what is more likely is that Kasva will end up trying to compete economically against Tatoh. Kasva then might branch out and try to secure the middle of the map. Stone walls and a gate to boot. This is looking very pretty, Tatoh. And a pretty base is a good base. That's not true, but I like to believe it's true. So, to recap, as we have hit the 5-minute mark, we can see that Tatoh has gathered a bunch of stone already. They must have to be able to build down that wall. We've got the double palisade walls up on the side, a house just looking over that wall, the Barbican of the Sun here, which is kind of short range. These things do have a hand cannon inside, so it's pretty good against anyone wearing heavy armor. And interestingly, Kasva is also gonna drop a stone wall and an extra town center right next to the wood and deer. Good location for it. Here's another interesting thing about stone walls, though. Similar to people not using battering rams against palisade walls, we haven't seen a single soldier, not one troop, on a stone wall yet. And as a reminder, they gain increased range and more damage reduction when they're on those walls. At least from incoming fire. Tato's also getting their second town center next to the gold. I'm still just admiring this wall. I want to see it use. Stone walls going up for Kasva on their side entrances. And I think this might be slightly concerning, because if Kasva tries to play this economically, China might outpace them. The Abbasid dynasty does get some nifty economic bonuses. I mean, quite literally an economic wing on their House of Wisdom, which has all kinds of unique technologies. The first one you can get in the feudal age, if you go for the economic wing, is the fresh foodstuffs. It makes villagers cost 50% less, which is a huge saving in food cost, and that is even more powerful if you are rocking 2 or 3 town centers. And I think this will be a 3 town center job from both our generals today. In age 3 for the Abbasid dynasty, you could get 15% increased food gathering, and in age 4, 8% more resources dropped off. There's also bonuses to trade, but I doubt we'll see trade. If you want to count it as economy, then the culture wing makes technologies cost 30% less, which is quite a saving if you get that early too. Then, when the Abbasid dynasty reaches 10 buildings, villager gather rate is increased by 10%. Then at 30, it's increased by 15% with a bonus 15% to research speed. And if somehow we get that far, at 60 structures, it's 20% gather rate, 20% research, and 20% production speed. So, producing units faster. And I realize that's a lot of numbers, but we can simplify this down into the Abbasid dynasty is probably the best option to try and meet China in economic warfare. What a beautiful gate. So what does that economy turn into? That's the important part. Before we even cover that, let's talk about what Tatoh can do as China. Tatoh just got their Imperial official out a couple minutes ago. There's that Golden Age Tier 1 activated for Kasva, so 10% increased resource gathering rate. Glossing over many details about the Imperial official, though, they can increase resource drop-off rate by 20% and collect gold. If you micromanage between doing both of these within the first minute of the game, you can really speed up your economy, but it requires Zerg Queen-like micro. In fact, I'm pretty sure if you were to tug at the face mask of an Imperial official, they'd say, "I would have swarmed if it wasn't for you meddling kids." Tatoh did get the Imperial Academy too, so now they are in the Song Dynasty, which means they've spent an extra 400 food, 200 gold to get 35% increased villager production speed. This is one way to turn 3 town centers into 4. Oh, a market down too. It's a very quick market, it feels. Also, in the Song Dynasty, you can spend 100 wood to get a house with 40 population. Every dynasty has its own unique building. In the Ming Dynasty, which is the next one in the Castle Age, which would require you to build both Castle Age landmarks, you can get the Granary, which... There's a tooltip error on that one. On the build tooltip, it says 15% increased gather rate from nearby farms. However, once built, the buff on the building itself actually says 10%. I don't think anyone's spotted that one yet. One granary, though, can easily cover 30 farms, and you can supervise that for 20% increased food drop-off. This alone is over 1,000 food per minute, with no other upgrades on top. With all the upgrades available to China, we're talking 1,500 food a minute. So quite a staggering increase. Tatoh is branching out to the berries in the middle of the map whilst the scout deals with the threat of wolves and is sounding rather panicked about it. And I realize this has just been a lot of numbers. China is complicated. The worst thing is, though, you can only be in one dynasty, which means losing access to certain buildings after paying for a second landmark. One thing is very likely. China is probably going to get some kind of touch-up in the first patch. Which, just a reminder, this game hasn't received a balance patch yet, since its release 2 weeks ago. So, we did see Kasva constructing barracks. We're over 10 minutes in. Will they try and muster an army and strike with a battering ram to destroy all of this in front of us? Well, perhaps not, because Tatoh's constructing their third town center outside of their hill, and Kasva does spot it. Kasva reaching the Castle Age. The military wing is their second landmark choice, so they might be ready to make war soon. The astronomical clock tower is currently being built in the middle of the map. It's got to be the best place to tell the time, and that time will be Castle Age for Tatoh. What a cute little outpost this is. Double gold, military buildings, neutral market if they want to let loose some caravans, and the Imperial official on their way, likely to supervise. Kasva constructing more barracks. I get the feeling it's going to be men-at-arms. We have a couple already, and a rather late blacksmith. It's going to take 150 food, 375 gold, and 4 minutes to get those men-at-arms fully upgraded. If they only attack with men-at-arms at the 60-minute mark, then it's not late at all. It's perfectly timed. We got some supervision going on for both barracks. So essentially, there is 6 barracks here, and Palace Guard arriving. Let's take a look at the unit comparison. The Palace Guard is China's version of the men-at-arms. They don't have a shield, though, which means they have less armor. 1 whole less armor, in fact. But what they lose in armor, they gain in speed, style, and aggression. These guys can charge. Spring Elves coming out of the clock tower. Yes, the clock tower can build siege units, even though the building itself has not a single hammer in it. Light engagements in the stealth forest. Now Tatoh knows there's men-at-arms for them awaiting. So coming back to the clock tower, because this is quite interesting. The siege engines have 50% increased health. The Abyssid Dynasty, as we can see, can build spring outs without a siege workshop. So 2 kind of interesting dynamics when it comes to siege engines at play in this match. Kasva can build more spring elves at once and on demand, whereas Tatoh can only make the stronger siege engines from the clock tower. Although the clock tower can be supervised, so it'd be like having 3 workshops. The Palace Guard are about to discover where Kasva's forces are, and no one seems to mind. It's fine, it's chill, it's all cool. Someone got spooked, though, when the spring elves let loose. One of them is getting through, which reminds me, I was going to say earlier, that the spring elves are really only a soft counter to men-at-arms. It takes 3 shots to kill one, and a lot of that damage can end up overkilling in the heat of battle. The more cost-effective counter would be crossbowmen, which are less susceptible to cavalry. Spring elves can quite easily be flanked and taken out before they can escape, unlike crossbow. But for now, we see no archery ranges and no stables. Kasva with a scout up front looking for a target, and I think they've chosen the berry pickers. If they can aim those spring owls at the villagers' hands, their berry picking days will be over. In fact, they're gonna go build a keep. Now, if Kasva can aim those spring owls at the villagers' hands, their construction days will be over. Here comes the army for Tatoh. It's a 4v4. Spring Owl, shoot him out. I feel like I'm at the carnival. In theory, Tatoh Spring Owl should win with that 50% health increase. There's some palace guards flanking. They're not really needed. The Spring Owls handled it. They will kill the scout. Whilst the other palace guard fight off the men-at-arms around the keep. The villagers will return to constructing it. And the keep will go up. Kasva will retreat for now. Never mind, they're back to swinging. There's two lines. Two palace guard overextended. Kasva looks outnumbered, but we have to wait until the rear guard join the front line. It'd be close, but neither general wants to lose all of their military assets here just yet. Oh boy, after watching all these France games, I truly did forget how exciting this game looks and feels. Even this palace guard is just excited to stand around and watch berries. China finally gets to stretch its legs in the tournament. And off he goes to battle. Doesn't seem to have much hope here. Kasva evicting them from the area so they can get that town center down, and 5 spring owls under construction. This is the power of having infantry units being able to build siege weapons, and a 1v1 battle just outside the northern gate. This is where I suggest that this game should have a kill counter for each unit. We might just see some units have killed more than others. Or at least, you know, battles that they've been in and won, maybe. Sadly, it wasn't kept as a 1v1. Stabbed in the back. Small force heading up from Tatoh to where that one soldier died. And I'm not trying to capture a sacred site, the central one, but there's a wolf just gnawing on that guy's legs. But what is this division of Palace Guard going to do? They could just burn the town center. They could try and go for some villagers that they know were up here. One lone man-at-arms will try and defend. I'm surprised that he even lasted that long. Let the torching begin! There doesn't seem to be any response. The villagers will just go back to their citadel on the hill, where it is safe. My lord, that is a lot of gold, miners. A lot of gold is needed. Men-at-arms and spring elves. It's gonna cost a lot of gold. Plenty of supervision going on in that central outpost for Tatoh. A few more palace guard just roaming around. You don't need cavalry just to run around and harass. You can perfectly do that fine. Especially with palace guard and their slightly increased movement speed. Units also get more movement speed if we enter the Yuan dynasty. Now we have the nest of bees. We'll get to that soon. The palace guard have managed to fast travel behind the spring elves. They do get one of the spring elves. The second one looks almost likely. The last 2 soldiers down to 1. Oh, so close. Okay, the nest of bees. It doesn't seem to be performing as intended. Oh, are we seeing a triple sacred site cap? Could this be the first sacred victory? Let me talk about the nest of bees. It's important. Imperial officials, supervision spotted. Now, it's supposed to be China's better version of the mangonel, but it functions significantly worse. I'm talking about the nest of bees, not the Imperial official. It doesn't mean it's useless, but I can tell you here that its function will be more of a like a weapon of fear. When you see rockets landing on your soldiers, your immediate knee-jerk reaction might be to get out and retreat or overinvest into trying to take those nest of bees out as priority. Huge clash of armor and metal. Seems like Tatoh is going to win this one. The battering ram's just scooting on through. The last of Kasva's spring owls have been destroyed. The villagers could not repair them. And Tatoh has also brought out some crossbowmen. Now, whether the nest of bees would be a problem, the problem in itself is accurately cataloging the threat in a list. The battle continues up the hill, where Kasva is constructing a keep. That'll protect the villagers. They need all the gold they can get to maintain the salaries of the men-at-arms and spring elves. And I wonder if Kasva is going to also end up bringing crossbows. Look at these cool guys walk in. I think it's awesome when you see units moving in formation together, and impressive job to Relic for having walking animations. One idea I've always wanted, and since patrol is not yet in the game, I always kind of wanted a patrol system where the units would walk between your patrol locations, and then over time, their line of sight would increase. So it's kind of like a defensive thing where you gain map knowledge because you're becoming more familiar with the terrain. 3 stables for Kasva. They're incorporating heavy cavalry. So they're going to try and look to incorporate that when they attack and flank around and grab some of those spring elves, keeping the siege machines under control. Tato's doing something interesting in the north, bringing crossbows up with Palace Guard, and in the south, 2 keeps. One for Kasva, and one that has yet to have been started for Tatoh. They're not going to be holding on to the sacred sites, and Kasva wants to try and make sure of that with the keep nearby. But what's going on up here? They could get a siege tower and scale the wall or break down the gate. It's going to be a siege tower. The very first siege tower in the EGC tournament. They can put their crossbows on the wall and gain all of the benefits. The range increase, the damage reduction. They can take that for themselves. They're also going to grab a battering ram as well. The siege tower is deployed, and I don't think Kasva has seen this yet. Tatoh getting into the Imperial Age. Excuse me, though, I don't want to miss any action. Nobody will forgive me if I do. Look at that incredible crossbow range now. It was likely the Spirit's Way which was made, which will grant access to all of China's unique units, in a way. In a kind of Spirit's Way. Ho, not just casting, but puns too. Kasva is going to react to this. Keeps going up again. The Palace Guard are defending Tato's keep construction. Such a huge, heavy men-at-arms composition. I just haven't seen this in the tournament so far. Kasva is constructing a keep. I would say that the villagers might fare better if they built as far away as possible from the crossbows, but it might still technically be in range there. Tatoh is advancing, but they probably don't want to fight with that small amount of Palace Guard. Remember, they've got an army in the north as well. They've split their forces, and those nest of bees are rather exposed. If the cavalry were around there, they could have claimed their wooden lives. And I think this is really the importance of outposts, to get that vision, to be able to see exactly where all of the enemy units are. And this Mangano shot, running the crossbows on the wall. And they're kind of fine, like it's not too bad. It's not that painful. They demolished the wall the crossbows were standing on. Really felt like they could have just took out the gate. The health is all the same. General Tatoh has broken through with a battering ram against the keep. It's interesting to see these early siege weapons being used against a castle. The palace guard, allocated to the southern region, are moving up, and they have access to a town center and a bunch of villagers. Whilst Tatoh also commands the army in the north, instructing them to throw torches at the keep. Kasva does have heavy lancers, and they will respond. Heavy cavalry isn't all that much stronger than men-at-arms, or in this case, palace guard. But the thing is, the palace guard are putting up a wall in front of all those crossbows, and crossbows are really good at piercing armor. The siege tower is having a time of their life. And if anyone gets low, they can drag their almost lifeless flesh suit into the thing. What a view, though. It's nice just to breathe in the smell of that debris. And let the game speak for itself. I'm sold. What's knocking at the front gate, though? It's a couple of bombards. It's no sweat at all to destroy a keep with these things. The palace guard and the nest of bees will fire upon the villagers. A summoning ritual for spring elves has been ordered. The rubble rolling down the hill. And I love that Tatoh is still bringing along crossbows to back that gathering of palace guard. Spring elves taking a few shots. Mangonel fires as well. The impact zone was a little off, and the Mangonel is exposed. The palace guard easily burn it down. Kasva sending a few infantry to try and get rid of those bombards. And Kasva's cavalry will sweep around the back, sending some to destroy the bombards and the rest to assist the infantry. More reinforcements arriving for Tatoh. Kasva orders about 10 men-at-arms, the brightest and bravest, to take out one of the nest of bees. Tatoh still rallying infantry through the forest. Their economy is untouched, uncontested, even unharmed. The crossbows getting a lot of bolts into these men-at-arms. The palace guard have been pretty successful at creating a wall in front of them, allowing to do so much damage. Some of the rallied units were idle, but now they've been kicked in the butt into action. Kasva's army lays dead in the ground. Get ready for attack on Tatoh. Walmaria is under siege. It's a good day to ram hard. Another summoning ritual for a battering ram. Keeps still being constructed. I think Kasva wants to try and get access to that gold next to it. The gate, it's destroyed so fast. And the whole wall crumbled under the might of China. Every soul that had lived on the other side for years in peace did they exist, but now they would have to learn to fight against the blue souls as they rampaged through this once glorious empire. You see, the ages had caught up with them, and it was time for theirs to fall. I just want to jump in and play now. I just feel like this is a campaign mission. Kasva rustles up whatever defensive militia they could find And even back then, when the world was falling down all around them, you had farmers who thought everything was just fine. Kasva is collecting the gold, but Tatoh has plans to stop that. There doesn't appear to be any end in sight as Tatoh rams the heck out of the main town center. The white flag is raised. The Abbasid dynasty has been defeated. Victory goes to General Tatoh. You just watched history. Tatoh got one step closer to becoming legendary, but it's a best of 3 and we're going to round 3. Kasva won the first match as France, Tatoh the second as China. So let's rush on over to find out what happens in the third and final battle between General Tatoh and General Kasva. But before you go, don't forget to check out the video description. Thank you. My name's Anuki and I'll see you for the third fight.